All right, so you want to really get a grip on what's happening in the world of real estate in the 21st century.
Yeah.
So today we're taking a deep dive into this dynamic market
It's exciting.
to unpack not just the big picture, but the actual nuts and bolts,
Absolutely.
the genuine opportunities and even the risks that come with it.
For sure.
Think of this like your express lane to understanding the real estate scene right now.
Okay.
So we've got a ton of material to dig through.
Yeah.
Discussions about where the market's actually heading, the different investment paths that are popping up,
Right.
and most importantly, how you listening in can make sense of it all.
Right.
And we'll cover everything,
Right.
from the tech that's revolutionizing the game to the strategies you might not even be thinking about.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to say,
Okay.
I've personally been really looking forward to this one.
Mm.
Real estate can feel
Uh.
so sprawling and complex.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
when you start to see the patterns,
Yeah.
why certain areas are suddenly in demand,
Uh-huh.
or where innovation's opening up new doors,
Yes.
that's when it gets really captivating.
I agree.
And we're going to try to bring in the perspective of someone on the ground.
Okay.
Like what would a realtor navigating this landscape actually be thinking about based on everything we've learned?
That's a great approach.
Okay, so let's jump right in. What are some of the biggest shifts you're seeing that are impacting real estate right now?
Well, the one you can't ignore is the impact of technology. It's being called prop tech. And it's not just about convenience anymore. It's fundamentally changing how things work.
Yeah, think about it now. A realtor can give you a virtual tour of a property that's miles away.
Oh, that's true.
That's not just a fancy trick.
Right.
It's opening up possibilities for buyers and investors who couldn't physically be there.
Yeah, I see that.
And then there's the AI stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The algorithms that can crunch market data in like seconds.
Uh-huh.
That's helping realtors give more accurate valuations.
So that's a pretty significant change.
It is. They're able to offer, much more precise insights than before.
Okay.
And speed matters in this market, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to, maybe identifying a property that's undervalued.
Right.
And then you've got these online platforms
Right.
like Zillow and Redfin.
Yeah, they've changed the game.
I mean, they've really given everyone access to information that used to be insider knowledge only.
They have. It's much more transparent
It's a
now.
huge shift, right?
It is.
And it's allowing for remote investing in a way that just wasn't happening before.
That's interesting.
I mean, you could be sitting anywhere and work with a realtor to find and manage properties in a completely different state.
So location is less of a barrier.
Exactly.
Mm.
And then there's this whole other thing,
What's that?
blockchain.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's like this super secure digital ledger that could streamline how property transactions happen,
Okay.
creating a permanent record of ownership.
So like a digital trail.
Yeah, and that could potentially cut down on fraud and speed up the whole buying and selling process.
That's fascinating.
I feel like we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg
I think you're right.
with tech and real estate.
It's just getting started.
Now, another big factor that's shaking things up
Okay.
is the whole rise of remote work.
Oh, yeah.
That's been a game changer.
It has.
You're not tied to an office anymore.
Right.
So people have more flexibility about where they choose to live.
It makes sense.
And,
Yeah.
I bet realtors in suburban and rural areas are seeing a lot more interest.
I would think so.
Because if you can work from anywhere,
Yeah.
that small city apartment
Uh-huh.
doesn't sound as good when you could have more space, maybe a yard,
Right.
a lower mortgage payment somewhere else.
That makes sense.
So people are seeking affordability,
Yeah.
a different quality of life.
Hmm.
And that's creating these new investment opportunities, in areas that were maybe overlooked before.
Okay, so that's a big trend realtors are having to adjust to.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Now, another thing we have to talk about,
Yeah.
the growing emphasis on sustainability.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, buyers are asking about energy efficiency,
Yeah.
green features,
More and more.
things like solar panels,
Uh-huh.
better insulation,
Right.
smart home systems that can save energy.
I see that.
And then there are these green building certifications like LED.
Yeah. Those are becoming more important.
Huge selling point.
They are.
I mean, it's not just a preference anymore.
Right.
It's a real factor that can impact property values.
And tenant demand.
Exactly. So for investors,
Yeah.
it's something to consider very seriously.
It makes sense.
Now let's move on to short-term rentals.
Okay.
Platforms like Airbnb and Vrbo have really opened up this whole market.
It's a booming market.
And realtors are often the ones connecting investors with suitable properties.
That's true.
the potential for high returns is definitely there.
Yeah, much higher than traditional rentals.
But,
Yeah.
it's not without its complexities.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Because this popularity has also led to more scrutiny and regulations.
Oh, for sure.
So realtors need to be really on top of the local rules.
Yeah.
Zoning permits taxes.
Right. All of that can change things.
And it can significantly impact an investor's bottom line.
Absolutely. It's a balancing act.
So we've talked about some of these major shifts.
Yes.
Let's shift gears a bit and think about how someone listening might actually get started in property investment.
Okay.
Maybe even working with a realtor.
Okay.
First up, real estate crowdfunding.
Oh, interesting.
This has opened up investing to a wider range of people.
Yeah. How so?
Well, essentially, it lets you pool your money with others
Okay.
to invest in larger projects.
Like what kind of projects?
Apartment complexes, commercial developments, things you might not be able to afford on your own.
Oh, I see.
And the investment amounts can be surprisingly small.
Really?
Sometimes just a few $100 or $1,000. So you can dip your toes in without having to,
Go all in.
yeah, buy an entire property yourself.
I see that.
It's a way to learn and potentially see returns
Yeah.
without all the headaches of being a landlord right away. Makes sense. And now another option you might discuss with a realtor
Yeah.
is REITs.
Real estate investment trusts.
Exactly.
Where are those?
They're often seen as a great entry point for new or smaller investors.
Okay.
So REITs operate like mutual funds, but they're focused on real estate.
Interesting.
They own or finance income-producing properties.
Okay.
And they're required to distribute a big portion of their income to shareholders as dividends.
So you're basically getting a share of the profits.
Exactly. You buy shares in a REIT, just like you would in any publicly traded company.
Okay.
And it gives you exposure to the market without having to actually manage properties.
Right.
Plus, they invest in a wide range of properties.
Oh, so it's diversified.
Yeah, that helps spread the risk.
I like that.
Now, this is an area where realtors are often involved.
Okay.
Affordable housing development.
Yeah.
It's not just about financial return.
Right.
It's about addressing a need.
A huge need.
Housing affordability is a big concern in many places.
It is.
And this type of development often involves, government agencies, nonprofits, private investors working together.
It's collaborative.
And realtors, with their local knowledge, they can help connect investors with potential projects.
Okay, so they act as a facilitator.
Yeah, they're really at the forefront of these initiatives.
That's great.
And speaking of opportunities with a broader impact, let's talk about opportunity zones.
I've heard of them, but don't know much.
All right, so these were created by the government to encourage long-term investments in economically distressed communities.
Oh, I see.
So they offer tax incentives to attract investors,
Okay.
which can be really appealing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, another area we've touched on where realtors are super involved.
Okay.
Short-term rentals.
Right.
Even with all the regulations, it can be an attractive investment.
Okay.
Especially if you've got the right property in the right location.
I see.
Tapping into that vacation rental demand.
It's a big market.
Okay, so we've looked at some of these exciting possibilities.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic.
Okay.
Real estate investing has risks,
Of course.
like any investment.
Right.
So what are some key things to be aware of?
Well, a primary concern is market volatility.
Okay.
Real estate values go up and down.
I saw that in 2023.
Yeah, a good example.
Things can change quickly.
They can.
Property values decline. Interest rates climb. Local economies can take a hit.
Those are all big factor.
And then there are regulatory risks.
Oh, right. Look, we talked about with short-term rentals.
Exactly. Governments are stepping in more and more.
Yeah, they are.
Things like rent control, zoning law changes.
Right.
Taxes can always change too.
And all of that impacts returns.
So you've got to be aware of those potential changes.
It's a lot to keep up with.
Another critical area is financing and debt.
Yeah.
Leveraging with loans can be good.
Right.
But taking on too much debt can be risky.
Especially with interest rates going up.
Exactly. The cost of borrowing is higher.
Yeah.
And then there's a factor that's becoming more and more important,
Uh,
natural disasters and climate change.
oh, yeah. That's a serious one.
We're seeing more frequent and intense events.
We are.
Wildfires, hurricanes, floods.
That's right.
So you have to consider those risks
Mm,
and make sure you've got adequate insurance
that's crucial.
and be prepared.
Yeah. It's about protecting your investment in the long run.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've looked at the major trends, shaping the real estate market, explored opportunities, and talked about the risks.
Yeah.
And it's clear that this is a dynamic and constantly evolving field.
It's exciting, though.
Oh, it is. And what's really great is that it's become more accessible.
How so?
Well, thanks to things like crowdfunding and REITs.
Yeah, those have opened doors.
You don't need a fortune to get started.
That's good to know.
But the key takeaway, do your research, stay informed, and think about your long-term goals.
Right. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Real estate can be a powerful tool.
It can.
But it requires a thoughtful approach.
Absolutely.
Here's something to ponder.
Okay.
With all this tech advancement and the changes in how and where people want to live, could we be on the brink of entirely new categories of property that we haven't even conceived of yet?
That's interesting.
It's something to think about.
Yeah, it is.
What might the future hold?
The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing.
It's an exciting time to be involved in real estate.
I agree.
All right, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring.
I will.
And see you on the next episode of The Deep Dive.
Sounds good.